Hey everyone, welcome back to Smash TV. Today we're diving into the unbelievable story of the worst NBA team in history, the 2011-12 Charlotte Bobcats. They won just 7 games all season, and the chaos, the stats, and everything that went wrong is absolutely wild. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you're new here, subscribe to Smash TV so you don't miss any of our deep dives into crazy NBA stories. Let's get into it. You think losing streaks are just a rough patch? Think again. In the 2011-12 NBA season, the Charlotte Bobcats didn't just lose games, they made history in the worst possible way. They won 7 games out of 66, giving them the lowest winning percentage in NBA history at .106. To put that in perspective, even teams widely considered terrible usually scrape together 20 wins or more. The 1973 Philadelphia 76ers, who held the previous record, had set a standard for futility, but the Bobcats shattered it. Every stat, every loss, every blown opportunity seemed designed to create a historical nightmare. And yet, there's more to this story than just numbers. The Bobcats roster tells you everything you need to know. Looking back, it was clear from the start that this team was in trouble. The lineup consisted of inexperienced players, journeymen, and a few underdeveloped young talents thrust into starring roles far before they were ready. Players like Byron Mullins, Derek Brown, DJ White, Tyrus Thomas, and Boris Diaw were all key rotation pieces, but most had never been relied upon to carry a franchise. The Bobcats' hope rested on 2 young players, 21-year-old Kemba Walker, drafted in 2011, who showed flashes of brilliance but was too raw to lead a team, and Bismack Biyombo, a 20-year-old center whose athleticism was exciting, but whose inexperience often made him a liability. Putting the weight of a struggling franchise on such young shoulders was a recipe for disaster. Offensively, the Bobcats were historically awful. They averaged just 95 points per 100 possessions, the worst in the league by a significant margin. While every other NBA team managed to score above 100 points per 100 possessions, Charlotte couldn't even hit that benchmark. Their shooting was abysmal. 3-point accuracy? A disaster. They finished dead last, the only team shooting below 30% from beyond the arc. Imagine watching a team where every 3-point attempt felt like a desperate prayer that somehow missed. Every other NBA team had at least one reliable shooter, but the Bobcats had none. It wasn't just bad, it was comically bad. And that lack of offense put unbearable pressure on their already weak defense. Speaking of defense, the Bobcats had no reprieve there either. They allowed 110 points per 100 possessions, ranking last in the league once again. Combined with the worst offense, Charlotte became historically unwatchable. Every opponent could score almost at will. The team couldn't rotate effectively, they couldn't close out shooters, and their rebounding was inconsistent. Every defensive scheme collapsed almost immediately. The Bobcats weren't just losing, they were being dominated in almost every metric. And then came the losing streak that would seal their fate. After the All-Star break, the Bobcats spiraled further, closing the season with 23 straight losses, the 3rd longest losing streak in NBA history. 21 of those games were losses by 20 points or more, and 9 were blowouts exceeding 30 points. There were no moral victories. Even teams missing key players, like the New Orleans Hornets without Chris Paul, couldn't be beaten. The Bobcats had become a team that couldn't capitalize on even the most favorable circumstances. Each game felt like a punishment, a display of incompetence that fed into a vicious cycle of despair and ridicule. Michael Jordan, the owner and executive of the Bobcats, was caught in the storm as well. Fans didn't just boo the players, they booed Jordan himself during the final home game of the season against the New York Knicks. Jordan, one of the greatest NBA players of all time, found himself publicly humiliated as the franchise he controlled became synonymous with failure. Even the scoreboard operator highlighted his presence in his private box, a moment that should have been celebrated but instead became a symbol of how badly the team had fallen. Jordan later admitted he hated being associated with failure, keeping his statements brief but loaded with competitive frustration. Management decisions didn't help. Draft choices, trades, and other moves had long-term consequences. Adam Morrison, drafted years earlier, had failed to meet expectations. The trade for Tyrus Thomas brought virtually nothing to the table. Every front office decision seemed to compound the team's ineptitude. Jordan, once untouchable as a player, became a lightning rod for criticism, illustrating that even legends can make mistakes in management. But the real problem went deeper than just bad transactions. There was a sense that the entire organization lacked any real direction or identity. The front office was stuck between 2 completely different philosophies: rebuild slowly with young players or chase short-term success with aging veterans. In the end, they did a bit of both, and neither plan worked. The coaching staff didn't have a clear blueprint either. Every night, rotations changed. One game, a rookie would play 30 minutes. The next, he'd barely touched the court. It wasn't development, it was desperation. You could almost feel the confusion radiating from the bench. Were they supposed to build chemistry or just survive until the next draft? Nobody knew. For the players, that uncertainty became exhausting. They were constantly being told to trust the process, but the process didn't seem to exist. Young guys like Kemba Walker and Bismack Biyombo were expected to carry the franchise before they even had time to learn how to win at the NBA level. Veterans, on the other hand, were stuck in a system where effort often felt meaningless. Losing became normal, and that's when things got truly dangerous, when defeat stopped hurting. Despite the public mockery, players tried to maintain focus. DJ Augustin commented on the jokes circulating online, acknowledging that while many people laughed at the team, the players themselves were taking the season seriously. "We're just trying to stay positive and play hard until the end," he said. Head coach Paul Silas echoed that sentiment, describing the season as a long haul for everyone involved. He admitted that being the worst team in NBA history was not something anyone cherished, but they had to endure it nonetheless. The story doesn't end with the season itself. Of that 2011-12 roster, only 3 players remain in the NBA today: Kemba Walker, Bismack Biyombo, and DJ Augustin. Others moved on to overseas careers or retired. Derek Brown found success playing in Turkey, Boris Diaw returned to France, and Byron Mullins had his last NBA action with the Sixers in 2014. Every player's journey after the Bobcats reflects a mix of perseverance, adaptation, and for some, an abrupt end to their NBA dreams. Looking back, the 2011-12 Charlotte Bobcats are more than just a statistic. They're a cautionary tale. The worst offense, no shooting ability, and a losing streak that etched their names into NBA history. Yet beyond the numbers, the story shows the human side of basketball, the struggles of young talent forced to perform beyond their experience, the challenges even legends face when managing a franchise, and the unforgiving nature of professional sports. The Bobcats season is now infamous: 7 wins, 59 losses, and a record that still sparks disbelief among NBA fans. Social media still jokes about the 7-win team, but the players and staff experienced it as a harrowing lesson in perseverance, accountability, and the brutal realities of professional sports. So next time you think your team is having a rough year, remember the 2011-12 Bobcats, a team that failed spectacularly yet taught lessons about leadership, youth, and the merciless pace of the NBA. And remember, in sports, sometimes history isn't just about champions. It's about the lessons learned in failure, the stories behind the numbers, and the human effort that never quite reaches the goal. And that's the story of the 2011-12 Charlotte Bobcats, the team that went down in NBA history for all the wrong reasons. 7 wins, terrible offense, terrible defense, and a losing streak nobody will ever forget. But it's also a story about young players thrown into impossible situations, and even legends like Michael Jordan learning that managing a team is tougher than playing it. If you like this video, make sure to like it. Subscribe to Smash TV if you haven't already, and drop a comment. I want to hear what you think was the craziest part of that season. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one here on Smash TV.